Turtles, and now that he has seen it, and John, you've seen it a second time and had the opportunity to reflect on it, what do you think now? All right, thanks a lot for saying that, Ian Martin. And yes, of course, last night I had my second chance, my second opportunity to go watch the Turtles. I saw it for the second time yesterday. But more important than that, Mr. Robert Lieberman went ahead and saw it with me, so he had his first experience with it. For those of you who don't know, I did put together a little video of us going down to the theater and Rob's reaction. It's up on the channel right now. So generally speaking, across the board, the reviews, or not reviews, the reactions for Turtles have all been pretty much across the board positive. I mean, I can't think of any mixed or negative ones. I like a lot of the
first half, I was enjoying it, but I wasn't connecting with it the way that I wanted to.
I know exactly what you mean. Well, if you had to sum up in one sentence what you thought about the movie, how would you describe it? Or not just not to describe, how would you describe Felix Leiter?
I mean, there's something really, really deep that happens. I don't want to say romance, but
I can't say what it is,
but
yeah.
I can't quite romantic in anything. Like, I don't quite know what the ramifications are, but it sets up something really interesting for another Marvel property that they never talked about yet.
Right.
this. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is now creating levels of reality itself within its own universe. And I think, like, there's even something that happens in this movie we were talking about that should profoundly affect every human being on Earth, theoretically. More so than even Thanos' snap, because people didn't know who Thanos was. You know, they just disappeared. Like, if you were living in Seattle, like if my mom was snapped away, she would be like, what happened? And then she would come back into our townhouse wondering, where did I go? How did that occur? So people didn't really know what was happening. But after Thanos' snap, and after things like what happened in WandaVision, once it's all reported on the news, that the people of Earth have to be profoundly affected by the fact that they didn't just realize, they didn't just learn aliens exist in the Battle of New York, but now they realize that the universe is a far stranger, far more like our vision of the universe, even the vision of the world's religions, are not big enough to encompass what's really out there. And how does that profoundly affect the universe that the Marvel? I mean, I think they need to do a Marvel series now about how mankind has been affected by this. Kind of like, you know, one of my favorite Marvel series was a series called Marvels. It was painted by Alex Ross, and it was really all told from the perspective of human beings who were having to deal with a world where superheroes existed. I think now the Marvel Cinematic Universe needs to do a series, and I don't know what that series would be. We talked about maybe a version of the X-Files from what came out of WandaVision.
Right.
I think they need something like that. The purpose of it is to show how has mankind been affected by, in a very short period of time, learning about everything that's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because I agree with you. The universe is becoming to the point where when you have monsters running around the streets of major American cities, and you have weird earthquakes, and you have all this crazy stuff happening, how does that affect us as human beings? And I think it's getting to the point where unless we understand that, and that's what WandaVision did really well. It showed the perspective of us on the ground, like what is going on here? What's happening? What's with this anomaly? What's happening here? We need more of that. I think they need to do an entire series about this, because if they don't do that, then the same thing is going to happen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that happened to the Matrix sequels, where the people, the human beings in the Matrix cease to matter, which means the stakes go away. If the regular man on the street no longer matters and no longer feels a sense of wonder in the mundane, well, then you've lost what the Marvel Cinematic Universe is, and all of these heroes are supposed to